yesterday, a two-bit expose of the same old story that I heard yesterday. Yeah, it goes the headlines, man. They all just go to plan. They're framed and fixed and rigged. You know they're all just spam. So buckle down, plug right in, and cross its way under your skin. Just got foul from the things they spout, and it won't make you shout. Give me that good news, because I'm tired of the same old shit. That good news, because I'm tired of the same old shit.
Hey. Good morning, everybody. It's Friday. Welcome to the Grounds with Giles, Jones, and Slagle. Hey, it's the 5th of July. I hope everyone survived, right? Everyone got out and celebrate our quasi-independence.
All 10 fingers, all 10 toes.
Yeah, right. I guess that's a survival. Did you make it through? Yes, Mom, I have all of my digits. Welcome in, guys, to the most unique show on the internet, as we think and
That's
know.
right.
I think, right? Allegedly, maybe.
Yeah, no, this is the real deal. Of course, if you want to be part of this show, go ahead and put that URL. Uncle Pete, God rest his soul, is up there. Put it in there. Join us. Be part of this show. Actually, today we're talking about the Octopus murders. Of course, understand we are not saying there's anything. We're discussing what is the Octopus Murders, a true crime television documentary series. So there is no misinformation. It's three guys' take on the Octopus Murders. Of course, we want to shout out to our good friends over at Natural Therapy Wellness Center. John and his team, of course, if you are stressed, they'll help you be blessed this summer. Any type of massage, you name it, acupuncture, Thai yoga massage, deep tissue, hot stone. Check them out at www.mchenrymassage.com. 815-385-8190 is that number. And, nothing says, hey, it's summer, more than a $5 bouquet. It's $5 Friday. Stop by JH Events and Flowers, both locations, one in Fox Lake, one in McHenry, where they can set you up. Some great man cave stuff too for the holiday weekend.
Yeah, great. Both great companies. Yeah. Both great companies. Yeah, definitely spend your money there. Vote with your dollars over with those folks. They are wonderful, wonderful people. Well, my voice sounds very deep today. Should I be a news announcer today?
And I apologize. Mine is I've been poisoned.
Allegedly.
I've been under the weather, so I'm trying to come back.
You know what? Because we wanted to talk about
they tried to take him out earlier in the week, and it didn't take.
They knew he was talking about the Octopus Murders this week, and now look at him.
Interesting, right? Yeah.
Should we dive a little deeper into that whole thought process?
So let's talk about that. The Octopus Murders, again, as I said, a true crime television documentary series about a 1991 death of writer Danny Casolaro. And his amid his conspiracy theories of a supposed international cabal, right? That he labeled the Octopus because there's a lot of tangle in arms,
a lot of different arms going a bunch of different ways,
which is good.
This one's going to get into some conspiracies.
Yeah.
Well, this is 100%.
Yeah, we're dipping into the whole conspiracy world here with this one.
Let me ask you this: what actually brought this to your mind? I mean, did you watch it and you're just like, holy shit, like Scott driving around with all this weird shit on his truck might actually be true? Or
no, I enjoy documentaries, right? I enjoy. I'm not the guy like yesterday. We watched The Flash, which is a movie on Netflix about Flash, and then all the Batman.
The old cartoon character.
It was basically, I'm geeking out into your space now.
Yeah.
Right.
That's such a great movie, by the way.
I thought it was dumb as hell.
I was just going to say, if you loved it, he probably hated it.
Nicolas Cage comes back as Superman. Michael Keaton comes back as Batman.
Right.
It is a fantastic homage to 90s superheroes. You got to love it.
And my wife is like, "Why are we? I can't believe you're watching.
Are we that bored?"
So
Alice is not a superhero fan either.
No.
Oh, okay. All right.
You give her pirates or
She's Kent's Kent's superhero.
Old English people, Downton Abbey, those type of things. She loves that, right? Vampires. She's into vampires. But anyway,
some Bridgerton.
Anyway, I enjoy. I mean, I watched this week the Lance Armstrong. Great documentary. You want to talk about a guy going down a rabbit hole? Wow. If you haven't seen it, watch the 30-30 on Lance Armstrong. Anyway, this was one that caught my attention. Number one, because it has like 4 or 5 episodes. If it's a one episoder, I'm like, right? But it's 4 episodes. But I find it interesting because it raises a lot of questions on the conspiracy theory side and says, possibly. And I mean, this draws an octopus arm into the Reagan administration.
Yeah.
Oh, it goes a million different ways.
Yeah.
I mean, if you really got through all 4.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It's an interesting. What's the word? It's interesting to follow and to really think about the possibilities and what could have happened or what did happen and why it happened.
So Danny Castellero is an investigative journalist, and he fell in love with this octopus that he created or found or was led to, right?
Yeah.
And for those who don't know, in 1991, I think, early 90s, was found dead in his hotel room.
Yeah, in Virginia.
In Virginia. Very bloody suicide.
Yeah.
Suicide, which...
Alleged suicide.
Alleged suicide.
Right? So, I mean, what's your guys' take on it? And that's kind of where this starts.
Well, so for me, I mean, watching it from a like a scientific standpoint, it doesn't hold water one bit. If you really... well, I mean, if you looked at his arms... There is no way those deep slashes he could have slashed another arm after he did one.
It cut the tendons.
Right.
Yep.
So for me, as soon as I saw that and saw the actual, I'm like, there's just you can't not be a cover up, right? Or a conspiracy or somebody murdering him. I mean, it's physically impossible once those tendons are cut to have any control whatsoever of your hands.
Well, they would have just fallen limp.
And to me, it's always interesting when you see something like that because, I mean, how many people did that have to get past? How many people had to be involved in order to cover something like that up? Because you're right, you can't do both arms, right? And I think it's weird how many times this is actually since the 90s we've seen something like this where it's like, oh, they didn't kill themselves, like none of it made sense, wasn't a suicide. You got Kurt Cobain, Epstein. Yeah, there's a bunch of others. There people are like they didn't kill themselves, and then everyone's just like, yeah, but we're gonna just make a meme out of it and move on.
Well, remind me of that and talk about that after the show. You don't think Kurt Cobain did himself off?
Oh no, I'm saying there's a lot of people who
okay. The way you said that was okay.
Well, the greenhouse only locked from the inside. All right,
right, right. Well, it's usually subtle things like that you pick up on, right? It'd be little subtle things like that you pick up on. For me, though, when like I said, when I saw that, I was kind of just like, well, I mean, I wanted to finish watching, but it was also just like, for me, and I'm not an investigator, I'm not a homicide or anything like that, but I mean, for me, it's pretty cut and dry.
Yeah.
So it ain't going to work. If it ain't going to work, it ain't going to happen. But it is interesting to see, how they dive into it and how they, approached looking at it. And then, if you went through things like systematically or, make things would actually make sense or, none of it makes sense. And that's why he started to investigate what he thought was wrong, right? Didn't make sense. And now his murder, quasi suicide, allegedly, whichever way you want to go with it.
Yeah.
Same type of thing. And that's why, what is his name? What is that kid's name that picked up where he dropped off?
Oh, Christian something.
Christian
Yeah.
something. That's why that kid was just like absolutely obsessed with trying to get
Almost
to
looks like him.
right. Yeah.
It's very, very.
Yeah, he was very obsessed at trying to get to the bottom of this,
Yeah.
you know, because something just doesn't add up.
Well, and then the way that, I mean, without being a spoiler alert,
Was there a way to talk about
Yeah, I was
this
going to
without
say,
being a
I think
spoiler?
this whole, all right, warning right now, this whole episode is a big spoiler for because
Yeah,
we're
really. Tune out now if you don't want to know the ending.
so the way I look at it, my take on it is that there's a lot of truth in fiction, right? And I think there were a lot of leaves that were blown off of things to give people enough. Oh, well, that's interesting, right? You take a look at, like right before the end, it's like, well, he's known to be a liar.
Well, they're throwing that fat shadow of a doubt at
Yeah.
everybody's
Oh,
head,
yeah.
right? Like, well, just even though all this really just like really says everything, let me just drop this little tidbit on you. You know,
Yeah, we
he's a
don't
liar.
really know, you know.
Let's
Could-
wait till after
could
all
have
the
been
facts
anything.
are. Yeah, all the facts are just like dead set right here. But by the way, he's a lying son of a bitch. You know what I mean? Like trying to throw a little bit of more of, throw you off the scent type of thing. He's a liar.
Right? But then you're like, but a lot of there's always truth in a lie.
You know,
How much?
and I really get into stuff like this, and because you as soon as you see it, you want it to be true. You want it to be this big conspiracy. Yeah. You want it to be a mystery, the drama of it. And I think that's what I love about documentaries like this so much. It's also why I love reading Lee Child. It's because Octopus Murders plays out exactly like a Jack Reacher novel.
Yeah.
I mean, with the intricacies and a web and
an incredible web.
Yep.
They get you involved and keep you going. You
Oh,
know what
yeah.
I mean, they keep that intrigue just high enough to keep flipping that page or watch for another 5 minutes. You're kind of like, and all the possibilities go, that's not really well, is that, you know what I mean?
And throughout this whole thing, it's, hey, I'm close, and then that person's no longer around.
Yeah.
That never happens.
What?
That never happens.
Right? Wheaties, the autopsy, on the original investigative reporter, done within minutes.
Yep.
If they even really did it.
And embalmed.
And I was going to say, and embalmed.
And embalmed, all within an hour.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there's so many things that,
Yeah.
But so with that being said, I mean, that when they do that and all the stuff gets thrown up in my head, you can't help but go,
Yeah.
They're like, yeah. I mean, your senses go up. You're going, well, if that's not really what happened, what did happen?
Right.
Like, what makes for me? It has to make sense, even though a lot of things in life don't necessarily make sense. But for me, I have to make some type of sense out of it. I have to understand where it's coming from, and everything that they told me that goes through it just doesn't add up as far as what the story they're trying to sell.
Yeah,
it does add up to a few different scenarios, but not the one I feel that they're trying to sell, and that's just my humble opinion.
Well, and coming up with the motive and the actual story is why it's so intriguing, right? It's because the whole time you're like, what is actually going on? Like, you have to know, putting the pieces together in your head.
Well, right. What are they why are they doing this? Why are they trying to distract me from it? Right. What's the ultimate goal of this whole scenario?
Well, and that's why I put this out here is why was this guy chosen and hasn't committed suicide, right? To leak out this information on things from the 80s and 90s. Now we're what, 40 years ago, and 40 years ago, right?
Yep.
To where you got old guys that we lived through, Scott, right?
Yeah.
And then we go, oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah, it's a long time ago.
Yeah.
Right?
Mhm.
Why didn't this come out in 2010? You know what I mean? There's a timing to it to me that says, aha, take a look at Promise. Take a look at this. Take a look at this computer software stuff that was allegedly
Right.
sold to the Middle East.
Right.
That kid. Yo,
Right.
what?
Right. Well, I mean, yeah.
Right.
And the thing with that is that whole security thing. I mean, the government
Right.
saw
Hello.
allegedly, right, that wow, this is something that could really change our game as far as paying attention to what's going on.
Or
I like that he's like.
Or did we find a new leak and it could tie us back? But if we could create reasonable doubt with this Netflix special.
Yeah. No,
I would say you are not wrong. No, I do.
You know
believe
what I'm
me.
saying?
They're throwing that veil of doubt. Like, hey, wait, no. But wait, how is this? I have not my you know what I mean? They're throwing the alibis and setting you up for, if something comes about. Oh no, see, we had this. See, look, this is what really happened.
Can you imagine being somebody involved in the situation, right? Back in the late 80s, early 90s, and then having to wait 35 years for your vindication to see a Netflix special. I've been saying this for years. Like, honey,
I'm sure there's
TV. They're doing octopus murders.
Bob, you weren't wrong.
I was going to say exactly. I was just going to say those people are like, they still feel so justified. All the arguments they probably had, over it. Like, I told you.
Or they're sitting there having to keep quiet all these years under threat of whatever, to stay quiet. And they're like, why does Netflix get to talk about it? I can't. I mean, I haven't even told my children.
Right. Well, I mean, the one thing for me one of the things that I thought about, right, with this was, with the Promise program, right, was spying, right, on us, right, and listening to us. And that's obviously, we know that happens today.
Mm-hmm.
How many times you talk, and if you're, on Facebook or any of those, you talk about something and it comes up on your phone.
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
that you're being listened to by who, not sure, but it's there. So this was something, think about that. That was being played out in the early 90s when they had the, what they call it? It wasn't reel to reel, but the tape that they used back then. That was, and everything was stored on these big reel tapes, I mean, and imprinted. And I mean, back then they had that technology. And I think that's the government saw that going, ooh, we've got more stuff involved in here, or that this program could actually do for us.
Oh, yeah.
Than what's on the surface. Let's get this program.
Yeah.
And I'd really actually be interested to see, I mean, the whole thing, I really found interest in the fact of what they did to him, right? Trying to get it away from him as far as Hamilton was the guy that owned, what was the company? Promise was the software, but the company was, I guess it doesn't matter, but it was just one of those things that, he had something that they wanted and had so much more, so many more uses than I think they even realized.
Yeah.
Right. And they're like, we have to have this and we're going to get it pretty much at any cost. And I think that's where Casolaro saw that and going, okay, there's something more than just this guy, selling or leasing or whatever you would consider it, this program to the government. They saw a much bigger benefit, a higher worth, if you will, enough so to allegedly, off this guy.
Yeah.
So you got to think that's pretty powerful for that scenario to happen, right? I mean,
it's either very unique or it happens a lot more than any of us know about.
Well, I'll go with the latter on that.
Yeah.
One. I think it happens every day. There's things that are going on that we don't know that, you kind of be like, wow, all right, wait.
Well,
let's look into that a little bit deeper.
Okay.
But
so, you're talking about late 80s, early 90s. Okay. YouTube came out in 2005. YouTube launched. There was no social media. There was no interconnectivity. AOL 1.0 had just been invented, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, in today's world, we actually do hear about this happening all the time, but we're flooded with so much information, which is kind of like, it's like, hey, this is happening in real time in modern life. But everybody should pay attention to this Netflix documentary about how it happened 35 years ago. And like, allegedly, look what's happening with Boeing right now. I mean, largest weapons manufacturer in the country. Their quality assurance people keep ending up dead before they can testify. It's what they're at, like 5 now.
Honestly, I don't know that because I have not paid attention to that whole situation.
Yeah.
The key people and the people they want to talk to just keep disappearing.
Yeah. So they're
dying of weird circumstances. So.
Yeah. Weird circumstances is one way to put it. Yeah. There's a whole Kevin Spacey thing happening here.
Oh, Kevin Spacey.
Allegedly.
You got to throw this in. You got to
sprinkle in the allegedly
the dust.
The other thing that I try to pay attention to is how quickly it gets out of the local reach and into like Department of Justice, and things. The Department of who goes, I don't know, this conspiracy. Well, there's just a conspiracy. Would the DOJ be involved? Would the DOD be involved?
Right.
Well, yeah, if it's just, hey, listen.
Maybe they're just being cautious.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We just got a lot of free time on our hands. We thought we'd poke into this, see if there's anything to it. No, I mean, obviously.
Right. It's In's Law. That's the name of that. That just came to me. Right?
In's Law. Yes. Thank you.
But you know what I mean? When you take a look at the allegeds, and all of a sudden a certain department in the government goes, well, let's jump in here. You know what I mean? That's like, hey, your kid stole money from the bank, and mom and dad jump in and go, wait a minute. You know what I mean? Otherwise, wouldn't it have stayed local and been like, I don't know, this guy's kooky. You know what? This guy, you would have done this. You would have made him think that he was insane into the public eye, right? Yet that didn't happen. So all of a sudden, the Department of Justice gets involved in things, and you're like, to me, that makes me always go, huh?
Yeah.
Why is that Department of Justice? What
am I missing?
Why are they getting involved all of a sudden if this guy's just a cuckoo?
Right, and that's where your head goes off and goes, what am I missing? Why? What is it? Why is it worth their time?
Well, and you're right. If they had just been like, oh, this is a crazy editorial piece by this random guy.
Yeah,
it's so far fetched.
He's wearing a tinfoil hat. Like, let's all laugh at him. We wouldn't be talking about it now.
Right,
but that's not what happened.
Right. Yeah. So you're like, now all of a sudden you're like, well, maybe I should look closer into this. Maybe I should. Otherwise, you would never hear about it, right? But this guy kept poking the bear. Found enough places to hurt the bear, obviously, that the bear goes, well,
yeah.
Okay. Now, here's the other thing that I will say. If it's me, okay, which I can go either way on this coin. If certain people wanted you to disappear, you would disappear.
Oh, yeah.
Or you would hang yourself by a doorknob.
Yeah. I like to buy a doorknob.
You
understand what I'm saying? But this was very sloppily done. Yet.
It was the 90s.
Yet. No, I get it. I get it. But still, there's ways of making... you know what I'm saying?
We have ways of making you talk.
Look, there are ways of cars going over the edge of a sharp switchback. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And allegedly burning and not. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's pill. You know what I mean? Overdoses and things of that nature.
Oh yeah.
Right.
And there are ways for people to just disappear.
To just go on a vacation and never come back.
Yeah.
Right?
Like Jimmy Hoffa.
So my question is to you guys is why this bloody, sloppy, and not send in a cleaner. You know what I mean? Not send in, the team that goes, let's take care of this, right? To make it look like, and not leave any questions like, yeah, idiot, you went too deep on this.
Well, yeah, I mean, and that's for me. That was, like I said,
Right?
that was the thing for me. It was like, wow, this wasn't well thought out. If it would allegedly happen, what I mean? They didn't really. The person that was hired to do that or did the dirty work really didn't think that one out, because once again, just like with OJ, if the glove doesn't fit, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
it's like,
God rest his soul.
yes.
Either an independent party, that's one of the options. The other option is that it is all just crap, and nobody was actually out to get him to make him disappear. And that's why it's so sloppy, because they could have.
That's what I'm saying.
Now it's literally exactly how I feel whenever you see somebody out there being like, I'm exposing, I worked at the Air Force Base at Roswell. I know, like, I'm going to expose all their secrets. It's like, if you had done anything but like sweep the floors in the basement at Roswell, they would not let you be on TV right now. You would never have the opportunity to say everything that you knew. If you actually had the information you're claiming to expose to us right now, like, this is
right.
You would not be here. They would have disappeared you a long time ago. So there is that as well. Unless it's like double reverse psychology. That's what they want you to think. We just make people disappear, but this is a big, big mess. Obviously, we had nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
Well, and you get to look at something like that. I mean, for me, you look at something like this, and you kind of alluded to it earlier. Why now?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So is this a distraction, or is it kind of going, hey, we have ways of making you talk type, you know what I mean? Like,
or somebody about to uncover something.
Right. There's something out there. How about people mind your own business?
Yeah.
Right. Because we're paying attention to you, and we started doing it back in the 90s with, Promise. So,
Yeah.
I mean, is it kind of a warning sign of, hey, you're kind of looking into us and doing things and maybe you shouldn't pay attention to?
Yeah.
Weird things happen to people in the world, when they stick their noses,
very much,
or kind of get the honey out of the beehive. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're going to get stung. To what extent? It's hard to say.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Again, this is just three guys having coffee this morning talking about a Netflix documentary.
Yeah.
That's all.
And just our take on it.
Yeah, I mean,
this is not the station's thoughts or ideas,
right.
even though we are the station.
He was going to say, I mean,
Right.
It kind of is, but like on the documentary, not on the situation. None of us were there. We don't know, but as far as the documentary goes, it is a little concerning.
Yeah.
Well, it definitely makes you think a little bit more, right? Makes you, and that's where you said you think it's a double. What was the comment you made? Something like
double reverse.
Double reverse, right? So they're putting this in front of you. You should think this, but maybe you'll think that because you're going, what are they really trying to throw into my head, right?
Yeah.
Well, they throw you off the set, right? Like, wait a minute, am I supposed to believe this, or is this, what I mean? What's going on? But to your comment that you sent to me when we were talking about doing this, and I'm like, you're like, this will make you question everything. I'm like, it change.
It does.
Right, dude. You know me. I mean, I see stuff like that, and it's like, flags are going. I mean, I actually thought about writing shit on my truck again that day. I'm like, all right, it's back.
Yeah.
Open up, people.
Well, and also weirdly through this, Octopus Murders was, I assume, pretty successful as far as the documentary. I don't see people talking about it. So when you're
Correct.
Googling it and you're looking for, like, I wanted to see other people engaging in discourse about this. I had to go to Reddit to find one thread called Octopus Murders.
Yeah.
And it was an argument between two guys over a stupid part of the movie. And I think it was about the autopsy. It was like one detail, but it was something they cinematically got wrong.
Sure.
And I was like, how is this the only conversation I'm seeing
I said the same thing.
online? I'm like, I can't find anybody that's having a discussion about this.
Right.
Think about what you're saying. Most people,
Also,
our world,
just so you know, us three,
right.
Perfect health as of right now today.
Yeah. Well, Kent's got a little
throwing
nasal,
this out there.
little nasal. But I mean,
They already tried to get Kent once.
That's right.
And
Allegedly.
he came through.
Yeah.
He took your best shot. No.
No. Don't try either.
Right? Not. We learned our lesson.
Here's the funny thing is, so I do, the title of this is the Octopus Murders, right? And so I put that on there. For the first time ever, take a look up here. See right up here?
Yeah.
With X, all of a sudden, an error occurred.
Oh, so we're not live anymore?
Not on Twitter or X.
Oh, really?
Is it because of the word murder?
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
That's what
we should have called it the Octopus Unalivings.
Right.
If you weren't aware, that's a rule on most social platforms. You can't say kill, murder. You have to. So all these people now are talking like they're third graders. And it's like unalivings is okay because it's not a real word.
Well, at least they're finding a way around some of this, when they're censoring the hell out of us, and they're finding a way around it. I mean, you say, but why no one's talking about it? So, and here's my thought on that. So like,
what do you got?
No. But you start talking about things and getting involved in things, people's ears perk up. Well, why are they talking about it? You know what I mean? A lot of people in this world, I feel, this is totally me, don't want to talk about these things that are unexplainable or are very questionable because of the government, because they don't want to potentially put themselves in a space that could be having them watched or listened to, or, there's a lot of people today that will not stand up for what they feel is right because they're afraid that they're going to be targeted. Right. You start talking about controversial subjects like this, people are going to look, they're going to take notice of you. And I think a lot of people these days don't want to be out in front of people and being noticed. They're just trying to get by, do their thing. You know what I mean? And just,
it's like the old
don't
adage.
Pay attention to me. Yeah. Right. Just, I'm not here. I'm just going to live my life and not going to say anything because I can't control anything. I can't change anything.
That's the way the Civil War, right? Is you had a third that stood up for something, a third that stood up for something, and a third that was quiet. Well, would it have been such a bad thing if that third that was quiet wasn't quiet?
Well, it's like the old adage: the nail that stands out gets hammered down.
That's right.
My squeaky wheel gets the grease.
Right.
But without squeaky wheels or, nails that stick up, where do things really happen in this world? And that's, for me, that's why I am the way I am, because like I said, it's got to make sense to me. And I don't have a problem talking about it.
Yeah.
I think these are important conversations that people need to have, even if it's just your opinion. You're on totally different sides. I like to see what other people think and why it's coming at us.
Well,
right?
I mean, and you take a look at, and this is non-political. This is non-political. It's just talking about the United States government. Is if we take a look at the Iran hostage, Jimmy Carter, Jimmy Carter and Ronald Reagan, and Jimmy Carter couldn't
bring him home,
and then,
but Reagan gets elected, and hello,
right? Which this documentary says, hey, Reagan had some people who knew some people who said, hey, you'll make him look weaker and. It'll look me,
It's a political play, understandable,
right?
And allegedly.
And then I was watching what I would call two grumpy old men the other week, a week ago Thursday, talk to each other for 90 minutes. It was.
I'm like, you actually watched that movie now,
right? And one of the grumpy old men said, "Listen, as soon as before I even take office, I'll have the end of this." You know what I mean? And I'm sitting here after watching the Octopus going,
didn't play again.
Well, right? You start looking
history
at
does repeat itself.
You start looking at things going, well, isn't that interesting? Yeah, as you watch, how the Octopus murders kind of unfolded that whole, Iran hostage situation back then. You're just like, wait a second. What did he just say?
To my point earlier, though.
Yeah.
How many people are commenting today on this one?
Well,
it's very quiet.
It's
right
July
now.
5th.
It's okay, but it's
real early in the morning.
It is July 5th.
It is July 5th, but that's all right. I was up until, I didn't go to bed until 1.
Yeah.
Because we were out on the boat watching the fireworks. So But I mean, that's kind of my I look at that and I go, by now we'd have considerable amount of comments.
Yeah, no, I'm disappointed. I
And-
felt like Shayna was going to be all over this one.
Maybe,
Yeah,
but
she
some
might be.
people are apprehensive when
Yeah.
you start talking about conspiracy theories and, listening and, changing people's lives because of things they've done or thoughts that they've had or beliefs they have. This is real shit that you got to think about these days. Back when, we didn't have phones and, it was just two people talking or three people talking in a room. You didn't have to worry about what you said.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Good, bad, or indifferent. You don't have to worry about it. Today, you could say something just like you said. We got kicked off X and whatever else because
there was an alleged error.
an alleged error. Right.
Yeah.
Well, there was an alleged error. Yeah, exactly. But it's kind of interesting, right, that happened. And I get it. The bots listen, for keywords and stuff like that. But if it listens for everything, it's one of those. You just don't know, you know what I mean? You want to talk about it, but you also want to cover your ass and protect your ass, and I get that.
We talked about this on a separate episode previously, but I really don't care what I say that I know. I feel bad for the person listening to my conversations, even when I am alone in the room and I know my phone's listening to me. I just feel that my roommate, he was the one that would go take the battery out of his phone and do all these things to, use VPNs and all that. And it's just because he was so paranoid of people listening to him. It's what are you talking about that you think anybody cares about? Don't know. Netflix made a whole documentary on octopus murders. I'm not worried about us having a conversation about a documentary, but, and I very rarely feel nervous about anybody listening in. I mean, even when you say something that could be misconstrued, it's not like I wrote it in a letter and mailed it to the White House, No. They're not looking at it being this guy's a threat.
No, but certain comments, certain words, certain statements will put you potentially on, I'm going to call it a watch list. Or a listen list, right? I mean, it's the way the world is, and we have to accept it. We can't. There's nothing we can do to change it, right? But it's part of the game. You hear me say this all the time. Life is a huge game, right? Figure out the rules and figure out how to bend them so you can play.
And that's exactly it.
Sometimes,
sometimes when I'm feeling lonely, I'll say a bunch of the trigger words so that the NSA has to listen, and then I'll get real close to my phone and read spicy fan fiction. That way I don't feel like I'm so alone,
Oh my God. Oh my God, you cracked me up.
So let's shift gears. Let's shift gears here a little bit, and let's talk about what's his? I don't even know how to say his last name. The guy in jail, Ricasciuto.
Ricasciuto, yeah.
However you say that.
Ricasciuto.
Ricasciuto,
yeah.
Right?
I should have had
Mike Ricasciuto. That guy was weird looking. Man.
I'm terrible with names in documentaries. I should have had these listed in front of me.
But this is the guy. All right, so I did a little research on this guy, and born 1947, 1948. We're not sure.
220, 221, whatever works.
And I guess he professed a defense centered on the Inslaw affair. He claims that he programmed the promise with a secret back door, right? And I'm like, all right, well, if this guy's as juicy as he is, why is he still
right?
Why is he safe in prison? I mean, because again,
and you were talking about this before. I mean, he's just running his mouth in prison,
right? And we've known people with black books to have committed suicide in a non-suicide area of a prison, right? Anyway, so I did a little work on this guy because I was like, this guy fascinates me, number one. Because this is the one where he's like, well, he's known to be a liar.
I don't know about right. Fascinate's not the word I would use. I get creepy to me.
Right?
Yeah, well, yeah.
So listen to this. He was recognized for some technical and scientific talents early in his life when he was only 12 years old. The Tacoma News Tribune and Ledger called him a modern, quote unquote, modern Da Vinci in a 1960 article describing a phone network he established for himself and 13 friends in Tacoma.
Yeah.
Right? So this guy's brilliant.
Yeah.
Been brilliant his whole life. Now, you go, well, that's not a big deal. It was back in the day because
Yeah.
I mean, we couldn't call after 5, right?
Yeah.
With long distance, or you had to call between 5 and 7 for the lowest rates. I mean, times were right. The phone, Ma Bell was charging you, right? So he found a way around it.
Within perspective, though.
Yeah.
My dad got us the Playboy channel for free just by fiddling with our
Cable
wires
box.
outside.
Right. So he conducted experiments with underwater microphones and plant cognition, an intercom system he developed in his home, and a radio class he helped teach at a local YMCA by the summer of 1964, before his junior year of high school.
Yeah.
Right. He built and lived in an underwater house, complete with television, radio,
Interesting.
and other common necessities. He also set up a stereo sound system in Bellarmine Preparatory School auditorium. As a teenager, he constructed a working argon laser, a feat that earned him an invitation to Stanford University.
Did he really?
Yes.
A working argon laser?
Yes. Right? Now, it doesn't uncover this in the documentary, right?
Yeah, but why? Why?
That wasn't pertinent.
No, but it feels
Michael
pertinent.
Ricardasciuto.
But it
It
is. Right?
feels
Right.
pertinent.
No, it does. Dude, it absolutely is.
That's
I'm just messing with you.
But
Because that's something. I mean, he obviously has the technological background, or the expertise to understand what's going on there. I mean, he was a big play. He was a big part of this whole thing.
So, his work on underwater acoustics and his lasers drew attention of the United States Department of Navy, which offered him several college scholarships before he had even successfully demonstrated his laser. Okay, right? Because I was just sitting here like, what is this kooky guy? Who is he? A liar? Whatever. I had no idea that now after I dug in, I'm like, well, this makes more sense to me now.
Yeah.
And why he's safe, allegedly, quote unquote,
right
in prison.
Yeah.
Why do you say that? Why do you say he's safe in prison?
Why?
Because nothing's happened to him.
Nothing's happened to him. And why?
No, but right. I was going to say, but why do you say he's safe? Do you think he's got some more information?
Oh, absolutely.
He can dig a little bit deeper. He's got a little something on some peeps, maybe.
So that all adds tremendously to his
like
credibility as well.
It does.
Now, anybody can be a liar, right? Anybody can be known for being a liar. But if all these things happen, I mean, it definitely adds to his credibility. I mean, he's like Val Kilmer in Real Genius,
Yes.
like just causing trouble.
So creating a backdoor into that promise, which is, if you take a look into it, can listen and use wiring as antennas and right?
Yeah.
Now you go, oh, he's got to stick around, but we've got to control him because he'll go underground, live underwater, disappear, whatever the case may be.
Right, so we're gonna stick him in a box.
Yeah.
And where can we control the rabid dog? In a fenced yard, right?
Yeah.
Right.
But then they let him get on camera and say a bunch of nonsense.
I don't know if it's a bunch of nonsense. I think
no. But
it's piquing your interest. You're going,
Yeah, but then why would it, they keep him safe if he's telling the truth? Why would they let him get out there and continue to?
That's a question you need to answer.
Yeah.
What benefit, right? Who does it benefit, and what benefits to keeping him around and in this place, right?
Yeah.
Instead of getting rid of. So there's some type of knowledge. There's something that person has or can do that they don't want to see happen. So they're to use your words, keep the that rabid dog caged or fenced.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
For when they need him.
And in the documentary, he gets released from prison or whatever, and they're driving. He's like, just drive. You got to drive. You know what I mean? Don't be around here. You got to drive. Which you go, well, that's weird.
Yeah.
Right. And then he goes back in. He misses his court date or whatever, and he's got to go back, quote unquote, into detention. I guess he's out now. I don't know. Right. But I'm just sitting here going, oh, okay. Right. Looking into it, this boy genius, this guy who is now, it starts going, well, every like I said, all these geniuses, right? All these guys with huge brains are a little bit weird.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And we've all known these guys, right? Who have such huge tails that you go, that's so far-fetched it has to be true.
Right. You can't make that shit
You know
up.
what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not like, you know what, man, Evel Knievel, you're sitting at a bar, he's like, I don't know, I jumped 25 buses on my Harley Sportster. Come on, dude. You know,
Got it on video. Look,
and you're like, oh, sure, yeah. Why would it be 25? But it was 25. But you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Yeah.
It was, back in the 70s. It was a 750. You're like, what? Oh, come on. Dude. Then you look, you're like, all right, I get.
No wonder you wiped out so many times.
Yeah.
If it wasn't true, you'd say 20, right? I don't know, right? So some of these tales are so big that you go, I don't know, dude. But they're, maybe it's so far fetched. It could possibly just be true. We know those guys, right?
Yeah.
We go to man camp with Vic. I love Vic, right? And Vic, if you're listening, thanks. He's got so many incredibly cool stories from the music industry and from his personal life experience in Chicago and whatnot that you just go, you don't doubt it. You're just like, yeah, I guess so, man.
Right? No reason to doubt it. Just,
right.
He said it. It's got to be true.
And you're just like, man, it's amazing. There's just some people have just lived such a cool life.
Yeah.
That you go, all right, because there'd be a loophole or something. You'd go, come on. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I look at my position here. If I were to sit, if we were to sit back when I was a kid, and I were to tell you I'd have some of the conversations that I've had with people because of this goofy microphone,
yeah,
you'd be like, you gotta shut up, right? But now we've had some great conversations with some legends, in the music industry and non-music industry. I've sat and talked with Tom Ziegler, Zig Ziglar's son. What? You know what I mean? There's a lot of cool things, a lot of great authors and people that we've been able to open up that the stories, from somebody might go, come on.
Right.
But then you're like, oh, I guess so.
But when you're willing out and you're in a platform like we are and you're willing to talk to people, you will see that stuff. You know what I mean? And they're just people as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's the thing that a lot of people, they're, famous. They're still people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, no matter how
they have thoughts, feelings, emotions, and ideas that they like to share.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But they have to find a platform and people like you and me and Steve that can dredge it out of them or pull it out of them or they want to talk to because we show a genuine interest, right? Yeah. Most people just, can I have your signature?
Right.
Can I get an autograph?
Yeah.
What made you get it? No, hey, what's going on? Who made, who are you? Not what do you do?
Right.
Right.
So,
well, in my experience, when you're dealing with people that tell stories, you've got the embellisher, you've got the appropriator, somebody who takes a story that isn't theirs and tells it from the first person like it is them. But no matter what, those stories always have a core of truth to them. So you're just deciding how much. And going back to this guy, what's his last name?
Riconosciuto.
Riconosciuto.
Mike Riconosciuto. With that last name, you almost think it would be like, Oriental or something. Riconosciuto.
All I'm saying is it's making me hungry for Italian.
I'm gonna go give ravioli for some reason.
Give me a big old plate of Riconosciuto.
There you go. I know.
But
no red sauce though.
And I won't say, you sit in prison for long enough, you have a lot of time to come up with stories, but also they have to be based in something true.
Right.
You're not just fabricating them off the top of your head.
Right. See, but here's the thing where I go to. Now, I love history. And listen, I am your typical American. I love to hold up on a pedestal the bad guys, right? Scarface, John Gotti. You know what I mean? The Italian mafia. Hey, they've become legends. These guys were really bad people.
Oh, yeah.
But they've become legends.
Right? Yeah.
And I look at things, right? And I mean, when somebody knows a little bit too much of something, it's good night, sweet prince.
I guess I'm never going to die then.
You know what I'm saying?
I know.
I do,
and
yeah.
Little
Here's
things.
this guy sitting in prison for the last 30 years without a scar.
Yeah.
Big. He's not starving. Obviously, he eats well.
Yeah.
He was a big dude. He's not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you only get a tray 3 times a day, yeah, you're getting that big.
He's probably got some special treatment going on.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. Either he's eating a lot of ramen on the side or something else is happening.
Something else is happening.
You remember, like Goodfellas, they're sitting there making a fine dining 3-course meal
No,
because
but
they got
those
all
get-
the
right.
amenities in the
Right.
jail
Well,
cell.
so in
Right.
prison, though, they have commissary. They can get their own.
That's
food.
what I
People
mean,
send him
yeah.
money, and so I mean, he was definitely getting some extra goodies sent his way for sure.
Yeah,
You would assume, right?
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
and if again, I'm just going back to the fact that the people have people in places.
Mhm.
Whether they're wearing a badge, they're not wearing a badge. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's a play.
Hey, listen,
it's a play. It's their
listen,
game.
We'll take care of your family.
It's their chess moves, right? They're
Right.
positioning
Yeah.
their pawns and stuff.
Right.
Life's a game, baby. They're playing it well. They're playing it well, and it's up to us as people and humans to look at it and go, why?
So
How?
the question is, we've seen, quote unquote, lesser knowledgeable people in an area,
Yeah.
right? That if you follow blood trails and things like that, you're like, why, right?
Yeah.
Why does that happen? And why does this guy, who maybe has a key that can unlock Pandora's box,
Yeah.
why does he continue to carry on?
I was gonna say, why is he still breathing? There's a reason.
You know what I'm just
And and that's the thing. And some people will go to depths to figure it out.
yeah.
Yeah.
Right. For me, I look at it and go, okay, that'll be sitting here in the back of my brain for when something else happens. I go, ooh, maybe we could tie those together.
Guy that's smart is smart enough to have a fail safe. If anything happens to me type thing,
Right.
That is entirely possible.
Right.
Anything happens to me in here or in general, like XYZ is going to come to light. It's like, all right, well, that's a good enough reason to keep him in a box contained and alive.
Yeah. Now, for the last few minutes, let's again shift and let's go into our good friend, who this entire show is about, and that's what's his name, Casolero,
Dan Casolero.
Yeah.
right? Casolero.
Casolero.
What do we know about this guy? Right,
Everything they told
he's
us.
portrayed as kind of a player, good, handsome looking guy in this documentary, right? Divorced, was he, or not married? I know he's got a kid.
I believe he's divorced.
Yeah.
I believe divorced.
I thought it was divorced.
Okay, so divorced, and then never really hooked up again, right? And that's where a lot of people are like, man, he was so obsessed with
Married to the job.
Married to the job.
Yeah, married to the
So I took a look into his other work, right? Because I'm sure as a journalist, there was other work.
Yeah.
He had interest in amateur boxing, so he wrote some pieces on amateur boxing.
Okay. Yeah.
Poems and short stories, as a lot of journalists and writers, love to do. He loved, and I don't know if they talked about this, but he loved raising purebred Arabian horses.
No,
I don't remember the horses in this.
That's news to me.
no, that's big money.
So
Yeah.
some of his journalistic pieces. Okay, so this tells you kind of the thought train on this guy. He looked into issues such as the Soviet naval presence in Cuba.
Oh, okay.
That'll get you listened to.
The Castro Intelligence Network,
All right.
and Chinese communist smuggling of opium into the United States.
No, he was on a watch list. Right? I mean, all those right there are really hot buttons.
Right.
Yeah.
But none of those came up in the documentary. I wonder why.
I wonder why. Right? Those were not in there. So, you know, towards the end of the 1970s, Casillero dropped his interest in journalism and acquired a series of computer industry trade publications, which he began selling towards the end of the 1980s. Early in 1990, he decided to take up journalism again. So,
Took some time off.
So here's the deal. I'm going to investigative journalism. I don't know. I'm going to journal. I'm going to start doing some investigation into the Soviet naval presence in Cuba and the Castro intelligence network. Also, why how China's bringing in opium to the United States. And then I'm going to say, I'm going to take about a 10-year break, guys. Right? Was that the tap on the shoulder going, hey, bud?
Getting a little too close.
Here's a check.
Right.
And here's what you're going to do.
And here's what you really need to think about if you're going to.
Right.
Why don't you take a vacation?
Are you a smart man? Have that.
Right. Why don't you pick up some? Why don't you pick up some trade journals and retire?
To which then him, just his curiosity, his journalistic, whatever.
Yeah.
Started going in that 10 years off. Well, I won't publish it. Maybe let me just do some work on the back. Holy shnikes. Look what I found. You know what? I think it's time for me to start digging in a little bit. I'm coming out of retirement, boys. Which then irritated whoever slid him that check for that 10 years off or whatever.
Yeah.
While he started writing his poems.
That's interesting that scenario or that information was left out of the documentary. So, and for why, right?
But also because
we're really getting, if you can't see Kent, but he's definitely, his eyebrows are popping. It definitely really raises it for him.
Because and to be left off, I mean, all of those things lend to the credibility of what he had been working on, and to leave that out doesn't make a lot of sense. Makes me actually kind of want to look into who's making the documentary and why they would leave that out.
Right. Yeah. Or does it make sense?
Or does it make all the sense in the world?
Right. And that's the thing for me. And that's why for the longest time, for me, it's question everything. Just, you can't let things lie. Be like, well, if it doesn't sound right or something's weird about it,
right?
You're probably right. You know what I mean? So think about it.
So he doesn't publicize it. He takes the 1980s to dig up all this information, keep all these files, never makes it public. Just keeps hustling. He's already been paid off, so I don't need him.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
Right? And now all of a sudden somebody goes, hey, what are you doing? And he's like, right? So I'm going to start leaking some of this stuff out. And then next time, you get a little tap on the shoulder. Hey, bud, remember that? You were supposed to go away.
Yeah.
Remember that? We let you be part of your kid's life. Remember that? Remember this deal we got? And then all of a sudden, you're in a bathtub in a Virginia motel.
Yeah.
Bye-bye, sweet prince.
Nobody saw or heard a thing. Not a person.
Well, no, of that stuff is, I was going to say that one lady is like, I saw someone, tall, black hair, which didn't make it into the files or into the whole thing.
Buried.
Buried.
Yeah.
It got lost. It
was incredible.
It was stuck to another piece of paper.
But at the same time, that's where it's like, listen, Sheriff, here's how this is going to play. Right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, you betcha.
Yeah, I think.
By the way, Sheriff, if it plays out this way, you'll win the next election.
Yeah. We're gonna just turn some cameras off.
Nobody's gonna run against you.
Right. And so that part of it for me, and I hope for you guys and all of our listeners as well, that's the scary part.
Yeah.
Knowing that manipulation, potential alleged manipulation happens.
Yeah.
Right. To the point to where it can be played in any scenario that is designed
That
or
is
desired.
Oh, when you stop
Right?
and think about it, it's terrifying.
Well,
I mean,
that's what I'm
it's-
kind of
yeah.
getting at, right? But this is something that plays out every day in our world. And I'm not even going to say allegedly, because there are things that play out every day in our world like that,
No,
right?
no.
And there's
Yeah.
reasons behind it. And it's up to us as citizens and as people to not, for me at least,
Yeah.
just not to accept it, to really look into it, you know?
Yeah.
And I mean, that's what really drove me to, you know, drive around so long with that question everything on my truck, because people aren't. They're just, I'm accepting.
But again, I'm going to go back to this. It all would have been burnt. All his writings, all of his stuff. You know what I mean?
Right.
It would have all never have been there.
Right. So the question,
And we take a look at the Mandela effect, right?
Yeah.
Whoops.
Right.
Nope. Those. But they let this young man get all of that information.
Right.
Let him look into old files to create this documentary of question now.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And all we have to do is create reasonable doubt.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Right. And again, this is it. It's brilliant. Well, why, if the government wanted to cover all this up, why would they allow all this to happen? Why would they allow
Well, it's a
documentary
scenario
be
that,
made?
yeah.
Why would they? Why? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's why I love this documentary, because the way that it's left at the end is,
Yeah. You decide.
Well,
you decide.
Right.
Right.
Here's half the information. Make a judgment.
Well, I was just
Right.
going to say, and now the thing is too with that is you don't know if you even got everything.
Well, right. And
Right?
now,
So you're going based on what they gave you. It's a pretty easy way to come up with a decision, an answer.
yeah.
Or now when I go to the machine and punch in Casolero or whatever his name is, or Rashudo or whatever the guy's name is,
Reconasciuto.
whatever, and now there's information that you want me to have there.
Yeah.
They're leading.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Or is it all?
It's a carefully orchestrated.
It's a fine web.
It's a carefully orchestrated web that
Yeah.
wants to be followed. A rabbit hole to go down if you so choose.
If you so choose. Well, that's
and
right.
where is it going to lead you? What's it? You know what I mean?
Well, that's why I
the
wanted
thing.
to look into Casolero, because I was like, well, what did he just do? Local pieces on, the local art fair or something? But
Right,
then when
yeah.
you looked into it, I was like, oh.
More to it than what leads you.
Yeah, he was irritating people for a long time.
Yeah.
But then there was a gap where I'm going to get out of journalism. Now, if you're digging in and you're an investigative journalist, you don't let go. That's like a dog on a bone. You don't let go of that bone.
Right.
But
unless they give you a meteor bone that you have to walk away from that bone.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Correct.
And that. I mean,
I'm just saying.
It's the way the world runs.
That's it.
In my opinion, not the station or anyone else's. That's how I feel the world runs. Right. There's enough scenarios out there to make you think in certain ways.
That's what it's designed to do.
It's designed to do, and it's up to us as humans to be able to decipher, right, what information is coming at us. And especially today, it's even harder because everything is just, you don't know what's real, what's not anymore.
Well, and there's so much information, and you don't have any clue unless, you could think you're researching facts and just be one after another of things that are just being fed to you.
Right.
A lot.
They'll keep you.
They'll
keep you buried. They'll keep you buried and searching for more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of
watch
stuff.
over
There's
here
a ton
while
of
we're
stuff out there
doing
now
something over here.
That deep fakes and things like that.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's distraction.
Anyway, listen, this is my take on it, and this is what I'll tell every one of our listeners is. We've been talking about a documentary. Next week, we're going to be talking about Cocaine Cowboys. It's a great kind of follow up on here, talking about drugs in America and a boat racing team
in the 80s.
In the 80s.
Oh, did you watch that?
Yeah, have you?
Oh yeah, I saw it a long time ago.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
So that's what we're talking about next.
Found out yesterday. There's a number 2.
Yeah.
Cocaine Cowboys 2 is out.
Oh.
Found that yesterday.
I will check it out.
Yeah, so
we'll have the International Speedboat Racing Association.
Yeah, I thought they wrapped up the first one pretty nicely. I have no idea what the second one's
yeah.
about. I don't think it's about the same 2 guys.
So here's what I'll say. Listen, folks, you will cause yourself to go crazy digging down and running down rabbit holes with conspiracies and things like that.
Yeah.
Treat them like a carnival ride. Jump on it, enjoy it for a while, but don't live on it.
No.
Right? Because eventually you're going to have to go to the bathroom. And if you never get off the roller coaster ride, you're going to poop yourself. Right? So what I'm saying is jump on it, enjoy it. Even ride on it a few times. But if you continually go down rabbit holes, you're going to come across something that it's just going to drive you bonkers. They're going to put you in a little white room, and you're going to sit there and rock yourself to the end of time.
You will drive yourself nuts if you don't
Absolutely.
just take life the way it is and try to be as, I don't say carefree, but you have to know when to say when.
Kent, you guys heard it. Kent said it here first. Enjoy the roller coaster, but don't poop on it.
That's right.
I'm going to get that on a t-shirt.
There's the t-shirt. That's it. But listen, every day you should wake up and be grateful for what you have. If you live in America, you should wake up every day and be proud to be an American, that you live in the greatest nation in the world, which I consider the greatest nation in the world. This is the 4th of July weekend where we celebrate our freedom with people spending millions of dollars on big loud bangs and booms, and then they'll complain the rest of the year that they don't have money to pay the bills. Anyway, listen, that's what you should do every day. Take a look, hug the ones you love, because you don't know for how long you got them.
Yep. Tomorrow ain't guaranteed.
Enjoy the ride and have fun on it, but don't poop on it.
Absolutely.
I love that one.
Thanks
for tuning in, guys. We really appreciate it. Go out, be the change you want to be in the world. And you know what? Life is not always what you think it is. So definitely question everything. Think about it. Dig into it. If it's something doesn't seem right, you know what I mean? That's what talking to people's about. Yep. Get in front of someone's face. Don't text them. Don't email them. Get in front of their face, facial expressions, the whole nine. It means something.
That's it.
So go out there, be the change you want to be in the world, guys. We love you. Thank you for tuning in every week to 216 Creator Studios. Have a good one and stay with us for many, many more shows today and enjoy.